I'm in my left side Shin box. Left hand is down, grounded to the floor. Elbow is spiraled out and away. Shoulders downwardly packed. Sternum's tall, tall spine. Weight is a little shifted over so that back hip is off the floor. You don't want to try to keep that hip down. Starting with our knee openers, nice slow lift of that knee to the ceiling. As we lift that knee, try not to let your shoulder turn with that knee. I don't want that chest to open up. I want to try to stay still as we can through the upper body as we open that hip up. Inhale, bring it back down. Notice where you feel this. Do you feel it more outside front of the hip? Do you feel it more in the adductor, especially as we get to this top point? Maybe you feel it more in the glute. Notice how high the knee travels. How much range of motion do you have on this side? And then we're going to slowly windshield wiper across to the other side. Grounding palm, spiraled elbow, packed shoulder, tall spine. Weight is a little bit shifted over. Doing the same thing. Nice slow exhale as we lift. Inhale as we bring it back down. Again, avoiding letting that shoulder rotate open. Want to keep that sternum in the same spot. Again, notice where you feel it on this side. Do you feel it more in the kind of top front of that hip? Do you feel it more in the adductor, especially as you're opening up? Or do you feel it in the glute? How much range of motion? Is it more range or less range than the previous side? This hip is tighter. I don't have quite as much range of motion, and I feel a lot more stretch through the adductor, especially right here, kind of going into the hip flexors. Once we match our reps on this side, we're going to slow transition back to the other side. Again, grounded palm, spiraled elbow, packed shoulder, tall spine. Back hip is off the floor. This is where I want to bring that inhale breath, filling up that back bowl. Let that back bowl, imagine like it's a weight of that breath, like a bowl. You're filling up a heavy bowling ball, and that bowling ball drops down, reaching that hip towards the floor. Can it touch the floor? Kind of notice how close it gets to the floor. As we exhale, we're lifting it up, moving that hip forward, and actively scooping the tailbone so that we get some stretch through the front of the hip. Inhale, fill that back bowl up. Feel it reach to the floor. Now, what I want to avoid on this is I don't want to shift my weight to push that hip down. I want to keep my weight forward on the opposite hip. So I'm seeing, do I have range of motion to reach that hip back without shifting the weight? And exhale, how much can I scoop coming up at the front? If you can imagine your sacrum is the palm of a hand, your fingertips would be your tailbone, and I want to reach that tailbone forward, like I'm trying to touch something with the tailbone off in the front of the body. You can even have that hand right there, like you're trying to reach your tailbone towards your hand. Give yourself something to reach to. Notice can you get that light little stretch that you feel good and juicy? And the more we get that light stretch in the front, we should also start to feel the glute tightening up and contracting in the back. I want to get as much of that glute contraction as we can. Once we get about 10 reps, we're going to slow transition across to the other side, doing the same thing. Grounded palm, spiraled elbow, packed shoulder, tall spine, weight shifted. Inhale, fill up that ball, let it drop into that back hip. Exhale, hip lifts, reaches forward, actively scooping that tailbone. Again, and I reach and touch my hand lightly in front of my hip. Inhale, How close does this hip get to the floor? How much can we get that extension and feel that light stretch? And how much contraction can we get on this side? And is it different? Do we have less range of motion? Do we have a greater or lesser stretch at the front? Do we have more or less glute contraction in the back? All of these are assessments for differences between the right side and the left side, which would indicate some imbalances in our gait mechanics. Once we get 10 reps, we're going to slow transition back to the other side. We're going to do the exact same movement with that hip, but now we're going to add in our reach with rotation. So inhale into that back hip bowl. Exhale, hip lifts, scoops forward. I want to feel that stretch and I want to feel that maximum contraction of the glute. Lock that hip in, and then we're reaching out. Spread the hands, spiral the palm up to the ceiling, and extend that elbow. Feel that shoulder rotate. You're trying to reach that shoulder and hand towards that wall. Inhale, we're unwinding it, bringing it all the way back into that back hip. Exhale, lock in that scoop, spread hands, spiral the palm up, extend the elbow actively and full, and then reach and rotate. So we're winding up, creating tension, and then we're unwinding as we bring that breath back into that back bowl. Can you feel that wind, tension, spreading the hand, tension, extending the elbow, spiraling the palm up, and then rotation. We already have tension in that back hip. So can you feel that stretch start to move into that low mid back area, even up towards the shoulders? And then we'll slowly move back to the other side. Grounded palm, spiraled elbow, packed shoulder, tall spine, weight shifted. Inhale into that back hip bowl. Exhale, lift, scoop, actively get that contraction in the glute. Spread the hand wide, extend the elbow out, reach, and let that shoulder rotate like you're moving it towards the wall. Inhale, unwinds it, brings it all the way back into that back hip bowl. Exhale, actively scoop, locking in the hip first. Get that contraction, spread hands, extend elbows, actively reach that shoulder. Oh, this side's a little tighter. My left hip is tighter in this position. And I can feel how that hip is related to tightness in my rotation in my low back in this direction. I have better mobility on the other direction than I have in this side. And where you feel there's a limit or lack of mobility, I want to be soft. I don't want to force it, but I do want to add slow, intentional mobility. I want to feed this movement. See if I can get it to open up a little bit more. Can I get a little bit more access to movement? Good. So we're going to switch back to the other side. Now we're going to get into our folds. We're going to start using the shin angle. So keeping shoulders square with our shins. Hands are going to be square with the shoulders. Nice inhale into that crocodile. Exhale, draw the navel up and in as we let both hands slide and reach forward. Inhale as we bring it all the way back. And just like with our V-sit folds, I don't want the head of the chest to drop straight down. I want to keep that tall spine, hands sliding. We'll do 5 of these on each side, and then we're going to start working kind of more side to side. Each one We're seeing if we can get a little bit more reach. Inhale brings it all the way back. Once we've done 5, we're going to switch to the other side. Again, square with the shin, shoulder square, hand square. Inhale into the crocodile breath. Exhale into that nice slow fold. Inhale brings it all the way back. Now notice if this side feels more challenging. Is it harder? Is it stiffer? Do you feel a greater stretch? I feel more stretch in the right low back and into this right glute on this side than I did on the other side. Once we get 5, we're going to start working side to side. So we'll get our nice slow windshield wiper going back to the other side. I want to continue to work with the shin angle today. I want to try to keep this knee angle fairly open. So there's a difference between an open knee, and as I pull that knee in, that's a closed knee, right? So I want to keep that knee open. I want to try to keep that knee angle at a 90 degrees. This is going to get into some different areas into the glutes than we would if that knee is more closed. Most people, when doing kind of the shin box folds, that knee naturally closes because it's a little easier, allows us to get into that fold. The more that knee is open, will make getting into that fold a little more difficult. So try to keep that knee angle open. We're fold as we reach, trying to keep the shoulders square. It's okay if you feel a little more limited in that range of motion. We're going to windshield wiper all the way across to the other side. Again, make sure that knee angle is 90 degrees in the front. Nice slow exhale. Trying to keep the shoulders square to the floor. It's harder to do on that side for me. Notice if one side's easier than the other side. Left side shin box, way easier. I don't have the same level of tension as I do on this other side. So this hip, really more my low back on my right side today are my limiting factors. Again, continue to check that knee angle as we fold. That's really difficult today. Once we get a good 5 reps back and forth, we're going to start to open up that shin angle by letting that back leg slide a little bit. Again, I want to try to keep as much of that 90 degrees through that front knee. Again, the more we keep that 90 degrees at the front knee, and if we're able to square that chest, we're going to move that stretch in the glute a little higher up and get into some fibers of that glute that sometimes get missed out when we're doing our folds. So maintaining that open knee, each one we're continuing to slide that back leg a little bit further back. And we're going to open that back leg up more and more until we get closer to a yoga class pigeon pose. I'm not super concerned with that end range pose. If you cannot get that leg full back, I'm not overly concerned about it right now. Although we're moving towards it, we're working on improving it. I'm not going to force it. If you are able to get that leg to slide back, I want to continue to keep that front knee angle open, which means that as you try to fold, you might find that you're limited. It's okay to lift the hips up at this point using your hands. You can kind of pick your hips up, let that back leg slide, and you're just simply softening the hips down into the floor to feel that mobility stretch without forcing it. And then we're going to let the hips come back down to the floor as we come out of that position to go to the other side. But again, I want to keep that shin angle open. Kind of helps to have the hand at your heel and a hand at your knee, and try to stay square around that shin. As we slide that back leg back, lift the hips up, and then we can soften the hips towards the floor to kind of load those hips, and then just rock back down to the floor. Do a few of those back and forth, as long as it is not painful. Again, I'm more mobile on this left side. Right side is a little less mobile, although it has loosened up a considerable amount just from doing this work. There are still some limitations.